The costs have been a lot more, with the book list currently around $40 more on each child this year.
For Queensland mum Lenise Davidson, sending 4 of her kids back to school this week has been financially daunting.
I'm looking at around $1,400 to $1,500 for all their books and uniforms together.
Without support from the Smith family, Lenise says she wouldn't be able to cope.
They would definitely be missing out on things. There would be less of what they would need at school if it wasn't for the Smith family.
She's one of thousands of Aussies in the same boat. A new survey by the charity showing 9 out of 10 families on their books are worried they won't be able to afford basic school supplies this year.
Clearly it's increasing costs that are causing those pressures, with rent up 18%, food up 10%, and it really means that those families have to make very, very difficult decisions about how to use their limited funds.
Digital devices, uniforms and shoes are the main pinch points. But the cost of internet access is a major problem for many.
And we know that that's an essential tool for a great education, and can really mean that those young people will find themselves falling behind further if they don't have access to technology.
Even if you can afford it, education doesn't come cheap. From go to woe, a state school education, billed as free, will actually cost upwards of $80,000 per child. And if you live in a major city, that number is even higher. And with the price of everything else heading north, it's no surprise charities that support families in need are seeing a huge spike in demand.
We're 100% up on applications in December alone, and we know that the next couple of months will be phenomenal amount of support that will be required.
I just can't keep doing it, and then you're just disappointing them because you've got to pay this and you've got to pay that, and you feel down because you can't make them happy for what they want, and you're letting them down.
That'd be very triggering for a lot of people watching that, I imagine.
And she's not letting anyone down. She's doing her best. I was raised by a single mum. I grew up in Housing Commission, and she scrimped and scraped all of what she could put together to get my brother and I to school, because she thought it was so important to get an education in order to kind of break the poverty cycle. But it's outrageous that it costs $90,000 for a supposedly free education.
What gets me about this is Australian taxpayers spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on education funding, and yet you have this hole in the system. You've got a whole education bureaucracy in Canberra that doesn't run a school for a start. So I think the conversation has to be restarted. I mean, since when do we get to a point where every child had to have a laptop at school?
Laptops, iPads,
is that what it is?
expensive.
Is that what because
Well, that'd be the
I don't
big
know where the
cost.
90,000 would go. What are you spending it on?
Well, over 12 years, you've got shoes, you've got uniforms, school excursions, camps, levies that some schools have as well.
So the levies surely are optional, right? So at the very least, if you really
a couple of $100 you could probably move that to the side. But then you've got laptops, Wi-Fi, software.
Devices shouldn't be a compulsory thing that every student has to have. It's such a big cost to have to fork out every year or every 2 years when they break. Or
it's huge.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced it's great for them at school.
Yeah, what happened to a bit of pen and paper? When I was at school, we were carving to a bit of
When I was at
stuff.
school,
Yes.
I was at school, we had inkwells, mate.
Oh.
I mean,
Don't think my parents
Don't
paid for the
try to
ink.
make yourself sound modern, Price.
words I've never heard, Pricey. Well,
Inkwell.